All right. Oops. Okay, should we get started, Mike? How you doing? All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sophia Rose. I am the Farmer Programs Coordinator with the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association. And I'm here with my colleague, Michael Venticinque. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Michael Venticinque. I'm the Value Chain Coordinator for New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association.
So we're here today to kind of just give you a crash course in the New Mexico Grown Approved Supplier Program, which is our state's farm to institution program. And we have a couple more filtering in, but and this is going to be a pretty quick presentation, so I just want to make sure we get everyone. All right, let's get started. So we are going to cover a little bit about us, the NMFMA, and our work with the New Mexico Grown Program, how the New Mexico Grown Program is creating steady markets for farmers, and then what it takes to become an approved supplier as a farmer. And we know that a lot of you in the room are also market folks, so farmers market managers and staff, and we just want to give you this information about this really important program so that you know about it and you can talk to your farmers about it. And then we'll give up just a quick overview of some of the immediate next steps that can be taken for farmers to participate in the program this year. Okay, so part of the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association's mission is to strengthen local agriculture and support our farmers, our agricultural producers, and cultivate strong networks for a healthier New Mexico. And I wanted to go over some of these core values of our organization with you guys, just because I think it's really unique how the New Mexico Grown Approved Supplier Program does really sort of model these core values. So number one, farmers earn a fair price for their products. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Number two, fresh, healthy, culturally appropriate food is available for everyone. So in this case, with the New Mexico Grown Program, the populations we're talking about are our seniors in senior centers and our school children in schools, and even younger children in preschools and early childcare facilities. So what the program is all about is getting that local food, that fresh food to those populations. And it's also culturally appropriate because it's local communities feeding their local communities. The public is deeply engaged in this local food economy. And this one is really important, food dollars, keeping our food dollars in the state and within our communities, because the program is also about really helping our communities thrive. And that also has to do with the economy and having those food dollars stay in the state. I think if you were there for Kendall Chavez's legislative update, she mentioned how, most of our food is exported out of the state that we grow, and then most of our food is imported. So this is one of our programs that is super, super critical to keeping those food dollars in the state. And then a strong web of partnerships supports a resilient food system. This value is really modeled in the New Mexico Grown Program, as it takes a whole web of people from our food safety training experts that we'll talk about in a little while, to us as the backbone sort of organization, and our state agencies and the buyers that participate in the program, the senior centers and the schools and early childcare sites. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you for this one.
Great, thank you, Sophia, and thank you to everyone for sticking around for this last portion on the last day of the conference. It's been a long week, I know, but thank you so much, and it's great to see most of you, or some of you anyways. So what we wanted to talk about in this particular portion of this is just the understanding of how we are going to assist the farmers in upping productions, moving into different areas. I'm sorry, I thought I muted myself. Sorry about that. But moving into different areas of sales and how to expand into these programs. But first off, I'd like to really address the fact that I know some of the market managers that are here have expressed some concern about we're going to be taking farmers out of the markets. That is the last thing we want to do. It's going to be the last thing that happens through this New Mexico Grown program. If we think about it seriously, we're offering extra avenue of sales to our farmers, putting the food into our communities, which is only going to help them to expand their farms, up their productions. And as many of you know, we have a lot of farmers that carry stuff home on a Saturday afternoon or whenever your markets may be. And our goal is to eliminate that, all while putting the fresh foods into our system. So with that being said, we're looking to expand into new sites, such as some of the very rural communities where we can have our communities feeding our communities. I mean, who better to buy your produce than from the farmer right down the road? You know him, you know how he operates, you know how he works, you know his family, you know everything about that community. And then within that, we're going to also be looking at our tribal communities, our senior centers, our early childhood development, taking care of our young people through this program. And to get into the program, we'll talk about it more on the next slide or two, but it involves, food safety, which is the key to everything. This is how we're going to grow agriculture within the state and at the markets level as well. And then we're going to also be able to adapt and meet the levels of summer meal programs, take advantage of the fact that many of our students are able to access fresh foods through their schools in the summer, but mainly our senior centers. Our seniors don't take the summer off. They eat all year long. And I know everyone here was raised like I am, that we take care of those who once took care of us. They may not be my family, but there's somebody's and we take care of them. So this is what putting the food into the senior program is going to be doing. And then lastly, there's going to be added products. The state just allocated some monies, and I might stumble here a little bit because I wasn't in the whole meeting, but they're adding monies for meat and dairy and et cetera into these New Mexico grown programs. This is going to benefit your farmers and all farmers. So with that being said, Sophia, if you want to go ahead and change to the next slide, I won't ramble on too much. I know I could go on forever. So, okay. So this is the benefits, and we talked about, let me move the screen here a little bit, why they should join the approved supplier program. When we talked about this initially, number one bullet point there is the number one bullet point. We want our farmers farming. My goodness, by having access to this program, it prohibits them from chasing sales the rest of the week, wondering what they're going to do with the excess product that didn't move at market, etc. They're going to spend more time farming, means they're going to be growing more product. It benefits everybody. Secondly, by going through the food safety trainings that Sophia will speak about, I believe on the next slide, buyers can find the farmers, because then they have access to what is known as the shared supplier list. And this gives them access to state agencies such as PED, senior centers, and et cetera, all the places that I've named. And as the NMFMA, our main mission is to help the farmers. We help to try to steady the markets for local products. What I mean by that is we help them find avenues of sales or what they need help with. Maybe they need some distribution. Maybe they need access to cold storage. Maybe they need, you name it. This is what we're here to try to help to do. So we try to steady the market for those local products. And then within that, the food safety aspect of it, buyers have confidence in the food safety for the vulnerable populations, which means they're going to buy more. And it's going to benefit the farmers again. At the end of the day, we need our farmers farming. We need them growing a safe product. And we also need them to be able to make enough money to return to farming the next season. It doesn't matter if they're doing all of those, if they're not making some money to buy seed, buy materials, and et cetera. And then also, we spoke about farmers can receive technical support and assistance every step of the way, whether it's myself going to a farm. I think most of you know me, and I travel the state. I mean, you got an apple tree in the backyard, I'm coming. So, and then we have Sophia, which offers a great, amazing technical assistance, computer assistance with some things that I definitely cannot help you with because I need help myself. And then one of the other things is the farmers can now start to compete with out-of-state growers because we have this amazing pocket of money that is just strictly for New Mexico grown produce. And now meat, milk, cheese, etc. So we have this money and they have the buying power to do so with it. And then lastly, it just feeds your community. I mean, what's it better at the end of the day when your farms are feeding the people that surround them? And feeding your community is really and truly what it's all about, and doing it safely. So with that, Sophia, I'll let you move to the next one. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you at the Q&A.
Yeah, so this is just a quick rundown of how a farmer actually does become an approved supplier for the New Mexico Grown Approved Supplier Program. And yeah, as Mike mentioned, the first step is getting that food safety training covered. And that's super important because as we talked about before, we're serving vulnerable populations that, we're just aware of their immune systems and that they may not be able to handle what everyone else can. So these food safety trainings, especially ours, the tier 1 and tier 2 training, really give you a foundational knowledge in food safety, the kinds of hazards that come up on farms and how to assess those hazards by risk, the level of risk that they pose. And right now we are primarily doing our food safety trainings online, but we're looking to also go back to having on-farm in-person trainings in the future. So that's something we also want you to know about, that we're doing that on a kind of request basis at this time. And then there's also the Produce Safety Alliance training and the third-party certification as options that count towards this food safety training requirement for the program. And then the second step is to complete a farm risk assessment, which is a document that is really useful, I think, to a lot of farmers, kind of as an operations manual, but it also documents all of the potential food safety hazards and risks on your farm or on I'm trying to balance between like the farmers in the room and the market people, but yeah, this could also be useful for you as a market manager or someone at a market, just to kind of know the basics of how it works to become an approved supplier. And then the third step is to submit the application. We have English and Spanish versions available for that. And that'll include your documentation for training and the risk assessment and a couple of other documents. And then the desk auditor, who are actually a group of food safety experts that developed the actual curriculum for these food safety trainings. They're the ones that are going to be reviewing your application and doing some follow-up if it's needed and helping you with your risk assessment. And finally, that'll be approved, and you will be issued a certificate of compliance from the NMFMA and put on the approved supplier list, which is the infamous list that the buyers will then use to make purchases from the farmers. So just a couple of immediate next steps. We do have a application deadline, which is technically March 1st, which I know is next week. However, we also have a rolling approval on a case-by-case basis, which means we do add farmers to the list throughout the year. So this is something just to be aware of. And then you can see our contact information for any further questions, but I think we'll move right now just into a Q&A. And I know that was a really we were condensing a lot into just a few minutes. So we are open to any and all questions or clarifications.
I did see one question there very quickly from Kimmy, and the short answer is going to be yes, Kimmy. What we're going to be able to do through this food safety trainings also is be able to aggregate farmers together and allow them to put foods into the food senior centers, the schools, et cetera. But there's going to be no limit. It's going to be by buyer. So if a buyer says, gosh, we only need 10 pounds of squash and that's what you have, great. There's going to be no limits. But what we can do with the food safety process is aggregate it together for any larger orders we might have, and we can move it forward that direction too. So it's really lifting a lot of the barriers strictly by taking these food safety trainings, and you can either fill in small orders, or if you need to put larger orders together through a farmer network you have there, or you can reach out to me or someone in your area, a food hub. A lot of the food hubs are really working together now to put orders together, aggregate orders together through food safety. So if that helps out, I hope that answers your question, Kimmy. If it didn't, please shout out and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, and I'd also like to just plug that we have a great number of resources on our website about the approved supplier program. And one of those actually is a Food Hub contact sheet with all of the Food Hub partners that we work with in the state, some of which are a part of this program that you can reach out to directly. Okay, we have a question from Chris. What kinds of foods value add and prepared packaged food as well? So right now it's primarily fresh fruits and vegetables that we're talking about. We are also potentially adding meat products and dairy to the program, but that's in the beginning stages and will take a fair amount of program development. So that's just sort of a wait and see what happens with that. I'm not sure if the NMFMA will be the primary organization that are adding those products and approving them for sale or not. So that's just funding that came out of the recent legislative session.
If I could jump in there,
do you
Chris.
have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do actually.
So Mike.
What is going to happen is, Chris, there will be once you have completed your application, you're going to be sending in what products you do have as far as fresh produce goes, and that's what you would be able to supply. As far as value added goes, there's going to be some of that coming up, but my suggestion to you would be find a food hub that you could work with, because we've gotten some approvals through some of these GAP certified food hubs now, that if you're value added is done the correct way, meaning commercial kitchens, everything is licensed, etc., that once the meat says approved and things like that, of course, it's going to have to meet USDA standards. It's going to have to be regulated. The food safety is not going to lax on any of this just because it's new. So I hope that answers a little bit more detail on your question there, Chris. But great question, and I would say stand by, more to come.
Yeah, thank you for that. And then Carol is wanting us to offer up a distinction between what monies are coming from the state for these purchases versus what other monies, schools, et cetera, can spend. Maybe Denise or Mike would be better with this one.
I can jump in a little bit on the senior program. There are, in addition to the state funds, there are some other monies that both schools and senior centers have to spend. And at the senior centers, they're called, and I don't even know what the acronym stands for, NSIP funds. Mike, you might know what the acronym stands for, but I think that's only senior centers that have those federal funds. And then there's other federal funding that schools can use, but we're probably, unless Mike has more details, we may not be the best experts on that from the agency side. If you have real specific questions, there are lead contacts at each of the partner agencies who can really answer that in a great deal of detail. And so we'd be happy to give you those contacts, or they're also on the website where Sophia pointed you to.
Just real quickly. So NSIP is Nutritional Supplemental Incentive Program, and it's federal dollars. And the only definition to that is domestic. So what that's allowing them to do, the senior centers at this point anyways, is to purchase these value-added products that have been done correctly and are going through GAP certified food hubs. And the reason I'm saying GAP certified food hubs is because then they have the food policies in place that the senior centers and some of the other state agencies that are following suit are familiar with these food safety standards and understand that these food hubs are doing things the way they need it done. So like I say, it's the stuff is there, the money is there. The senior centers, the state agencies have approved our farmers to be able to sell their product through a hub and get it into some of these centers around the state. I believe 23 of the 33 right now are participating, but I could be wrong there. It's just a matter of applying for the money for them. And then the federal money comes, they get that automatically. And they're now asking the senior centers to spend 3% of their federal dollars now on New Mexico grown. So that's going to also increase the budget that gets spent. See a question here from Shiprock.
Yeah, I think it's more of a comment, but definitely worth reading if you want to read it aloud, Mike.
Yeah, so it says there is a GAP training on the buyer end up here, northern New Mexico or northwest New Mexico, about to apply for the money for buying local, particularly with our tribal senior centers and smaller schools. Scroll down.
So I think he's saying there's a gap in training on the buyer side with them knowing about how to do this program. And I think that's something that we're working on in other spaces right now, actually, kind of through a different project that the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association is involved with, the Regional Food Partnership System grant. But we have a work team that is working on that specific issue that you brought up, Orion. So I just wanted to let you know that that's something that we are aware of and working on.
And nothing beats you guys helping, reach
Yeah.
out to them and say, hey, have you filed your application to receive New Mexico funding? The money is there for them to get. They just have to fill out the application. And then within that, we can assist from there. I'm happy to assist farmers to get onto that list in your area. We can aggregate them through different sources. So there's lots to do, but we're working on that portion of it to get the word out more. But nothing beats you guys knocking on the door and saying, hey, we want to sell our New Mexico grown product. Have you applied for the money? Because it's money that you can get by just doing some paperwork. And is there a cost? Yeah, well, I would say it's a pretty hefty cost, actually, or at least I like to joke and say it is. Just by joining our membership for the NMFMA, which everyone in here already has, which is $25 a year, these trainings come for free. So
and I think we offer what we call scholarships. So we do acknowledge if there's any financial hardship and make it work for you if that is a cumbersome fee. But the $25 fee to take the trainings, like Mike was saying, it does cover other areas of your membership. So it covers things like this conference and the wonderful technical assistance that Mike does for you and all sorts of other things that we can send you a little sheet or that's somewhere on the website. If I find it, I will link it in the chat, the membership benefits sheet.
Great question there as far as can only one person from the farm take the class? If it's a small enough farm, I'm going to recommend the owner. just because he or she would be doing any trainings moving on from there. Otherwise, if you've got a few employees on the farm, identify someone as your food safety officer, and then they can take the training. So short answer is it can only be one if that's your choice. And I believe if Sophia, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you sign up for the farm, I think $25 covers as many people on the farm, I believe. I could be wrong.
Not exactly. If Kat Baca is on here, she would be the person to really speak to this, but it kind of varies depending on what the farm looks like, I think, if it's a co-op or what the structure is. I don't know if
Right.
I don't know if Kat is here to answer.
I'm trying.
Oh,
I was just trying to put that link on there for you, so I was not.
for the membership.
And
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, so I didn't hear what the question is or what.
Is if a farm signs up for the food safety trainings, can it be multiple people on one $25 membership, or does each person have to sign up and pay?
A farmer membership allows one person to attend trainings for free. So
Okay.
if they pay to attend the training, then they become a member for 1 year and they have benefits for that whole year to attend all the other trainings like tier 2 if they start with tier 1. And like Sophia said, the conference, which we don't charge for what now that it's virtual, but when we do have it in person, there is a fee. So all of that is part of the benefits, including using the logos and whatever else they need, benefits that are
Right.
for farmers.
And okay, thank you, Kat. And before I get to you, Pauline, just wanted to say that, member or not, I come to assist farmers. So even if you're not a member and you have a farm that you're needing some assistance on, please feel free to reach out. So Pauline, I see your hand up first.
Yeah, we have a
I'm
couple
sorry,
more
Sophia.
minutes. No, I was just looking at the time, but I think we have time to get to the last question. So Pauline?
So once the farmer's takes the tier 1 and tier 2 and then is on the approved supplier list, then do the institutions or the buyers contact the farmer directly and then the farmer delivers it directly?
Mm-hmm.
It can go both ways. And I also recommend that the farmers contact the institutions in their area to let them know they are on the list. So, but yeah, they'll receive a list of farmers in the area that are food safety certified. And then, like I said, have the farmers reach out to their folks as well. Was there any other last questions? I thought I seen one other hand.
I thought I did too, but maybe not.
I had my hand up again. I after listening a bit, I just wanted to clarify. So there is a mechanism in place for meat and value added things to be done. But it's generally done by the food hubs, because, we're taking I don't remember seeing this when we signed up. Farm stand was the closest thing that I saw, other than food processor. I didn't see a listing for Food Hub when looking at the membership options, because we have a commercial kitchen. We follow FSMA guidelines. And then we also, because we produce food and working towards doing even ready to eat, we also do HACCP planning. And then our staff all have serve safe food handling requirements as well. So we're approaching this both as a almost like a restaurant would and a farm as well. So that's what I was kind of asking earlier was, is there a mechanism to sell those other things rather than just raw produce and things?
Short answer, Chris, because we're up against time, is the fact that the Harmonized Plus GAP certification that they're recognizing within the state and USDA it's a third party accredited auditing body. It's different than HACCP and or the food planning for your commercial kitchen. So there's different guidelines. And this is why within a couple of that are already GAP certified, they're now accepting it. It's brand new. We just started this. So that's why it's not on any applications yet. It's just us trying to move stuff forward the best we can. So there is different certifications, short answer.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I think you can, so you can absolutely sell through food hubs, which is a separate thing than selling through this particular program, the New Mexico Grown Approved Supplier Program. We do have food hubs that are approved suppliers. So some of our farmers will sell through their local food hub who are then selling to their local schools, senior centers, et cetera. But those products that you specifically mentioned, the value added and the meat and dairy we're still in the very beginning stages of integrating those products into this program. So that's where we're saying more to come on that. Is
Gotcha,
that clarifying?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we transition over here to Sarah? No one is answering the question on eggs. I think eggs, Denise, eggs.
I get the hard ones. Eggs have not heretofore been a part of the approved supplier program. Up until now, it is only produce, and we don't know whether eggs will be part of the upcoming funding with New Mexico Grown. So stay tuned.
Jimmy, I would suggest in your area, reach out to Harvest of San Juan County Community College. That's the food hub in Farmington, and they can put them into their CSAs.
Okay. All right. So I think now, unless anyone else has a question, we will transition over to more time with Sarah Silva. And I guess I can do the introduction for her in case some of you weren't here with us on the first day of the conference when we had a really wonderful session with her on some decision-making techniques and conflict resolution and all that good stuff. But just give me 1 second here to transition over to find her.